Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for the biggest makeover you've ever seen on my YouTube channel. And finally, I've got a long-haired mannequin to show you guys a men's haircut on longer hair. So you're probably saying to yourself, where's the makeover? What's going on here? Well, guess what? There it is. This right here is a unique hair system from LaVivid Hair, and this video is in partnership with LaVivid Hair, like all my other hair unit videos I've done. And not only is this amazing, but I'm doing a giveaway of this unit right here that I'm going to be cutting in this video. So if you're an individual who maybe has hair like this, you've been growing in and out, I mean, chances are you're not a guy walking around with hair like this, but you know, if you maybe have an undercut or you want longer hair, this is the solution for it. And this is 100% human hair, and it's mixed with poly and lace, so you get some breathability. And I have to tell you, I did you all a favor by already kind of pre-cutting the hairline, which again looks very, very natural. That's what I love about these units. And I'm doing a giveaway. So if you are in the United States, okay, number one, because I'm only shipping domestically for something like this, and you go on my Instagram, right, which is at TheSalonGuy. Also, if you follow LaVivid Hair, you can search them, send me a screenshot that you follow them, and then in the DM, give me your address, your mailing address, and your email, and you will get this for free. This is a very, very expensive unit. You could get this for free. And please make sure that this is something you're going to be wearing, something you need. This isn't any sort of for fun or pranks or anything, because there are probably a lot of people out there who may want to have longer hair. Whatever it's for, whether you're an actor, whether you're whatever it is, this could come in very handy, especially if your hair is thinning. So that's what you got to do. Follow LaVivid Hair Instagram. Send me a screenshot that you follow them, and also include your mailing address in the United States only and your email, and I will choose a winner and you'll be notified. So that's the first thing. So now what I'm going to do is focus on the haircut. So because it's hair, and I get a lot of people asking me about longer haircuts and, you know, about how to have the right layers, what should I do? I'm just gonna go over a couple of key things and key pointers when it comes to longer hair on men. First of all, if you keep it all one length, right, meaning no layers whatsoever, you just trim the length up on the bottom to clean up the dead ends, and you like to keep your hair as long as possible, then the hair is not gonna really have much movement. If you want your hair to lay as flat as possible to your head, right, if you want to lay as flat as possible to your head, not have a ton of volume in it, then keeping it one length is going to be ideal because of the weight of the hair. Next, another option, which I'm going to do in this haircut, is I always like to create a slight angle right in through here. I don't want to go super high on this, because the higher you go in through here, the more this opens it up. And say you are a guy who just wants a little bit of movement, a little bit of texture right in through here, well, that's where cutting just a slight longer layer, longer angle is going to help add a little bit of softness and movement to this. And then I'm going to create a longer layered shape, which, you know, is going to be helpful for removing some excess weight. And I think overall, you know, I don't want to just give this away and not do anything to it. I want to cut this and perform a haircut so that whoever's going to be wearing this gets the benefit of how this is going to look. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to pin this down, I'm going to spray it down, and then we'll get started with the haircut. All right, so now we are ready to start the haircut, and I am going to be doing a step-by-step, so please watch along in case you are curious about the haircut itself. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the length. And as you can see here, the ends are fairly kind of stringy. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to preserve as much length as I possibly can, but at the same time, I'm strengthening up the foundation or the base so that it doesn't look so stringy. And you may ask, why would my hair look stringy, or what would cause it? Especially, it could be any length hair. Well, the main reason is because, one, not getting a haircut, not trimming the dead ends, and also if your hair is over-processed, if you're somebody who is exposed to a lot of the elements, like you're out in the sun all the time, you're putting your hair up in a ponytail constantly, you're not really maintaining your hair properly and keeping it healthy, that could cause the ends to be a little bit more dry. All you need to do is get regular trims to keep the bottom looking healthy. What I'm doing now is I'm establishing my length, and this is basically a 1 length perimeter here. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to start to create the shape right around the face. And this is what I mentioned before, where I'm going to create a slight angle going upwards. Now, I'm not going to start cutting my angle way over here, because on guys, I don't really want to open this face up too much, because say you are an individual who wants to have their hair long, but also for it to look long. So I'm establishing the length first here, then at the very, very front, the very, very corner here, I'm going to angle my fingers, point it downward so that I can cut up. And what this does is this is creating a very, very slight face frame. And what is that going to do? It's just going to give the hair a little bit of movement right in through here, in case you do want to have a little texture, as you can see, just like that. All right, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And in case you're wondering how this is stuck on the head, well, I used pins, and because this is a lace system mixed with poly, I just basically pinned where the lace is, so it goes right through without penetrating any of the polyurethane. All right, so now same thing, except I'm pointing my fingers upwards and cutting down. So your finger positioning really will dictate the end result. This slight face frame right here really works well. Again, you don't want to go too short unless the individual wants a lot of layers. So instead, all we're doing is just trying to keep as much length as possible, and we're trying to create a nice solid foundation here. All right, now let's see what we got going on. So this mannequin, as I mentioned before, this is the first time I'm cutting this, so it's right out of the package. I don't think it was cut or anything before, so there may be some parts that are uneven, there may be some parts that are longer than others, but it is what it is. So now we are done with the perimeter, and it's time to create the layers. So as I mentioned, and I apologize for wearing a black shirt. Most hairstylists and creatives always dress in black, so I apologize. I'll try to keep out of the way. So you can see it's time for the layers. So traditionally, with layering the hair, and this goes for men and women, you want to establish how long the layers are going to be. A lot of times people think how short, but in this case, think about how long you want them to be. It has to balance out with the rest of the hair. If you cut the layers too short, you're going to have something like, say you cut all this hair off here, and then the face frame starts way down here. It's going to be so unbalanced, and it's going to look horrible. So the best thing to do is to always, always, always have the layers going longer in the back. And since we are only cutting a small amount and we only layer this slightly in the front, I want to try to duplicate that in my length right in through here. So here is the length. I'm going to hold that up, straight up, and I just cut my first section for layering. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to create a horizontal section, and if you're wondering, this is thick hair. This is very, very thick, very, very healthy hair, okay? In case you guys are wondering what the texture is. It's heavy. So if you want to make your hair look like it's perfect and somebody's going to look at your hair and say, oh my gosh, like your hair is outstanding, it's wonderful, how do you get it so healthy looking and so thick? And you say, well, it's my own little secret. So now I've created a panel of horizontal sections, and I cut them all even to maintain balance throughout the back. And again, this is not cutting the layers short. It's just going to complement the haircut, and it's going to complement the front, right? We're trying to keep everything with a more masculine type flow to this. And now let me tell you something. Yes, if you are a female, LaVivid Hair does have uniwigs. They do sell wigs. But if you happen to be female and you like this haircut and you're totally cool and comfortable putting on lace wigs and all that kind of stuff, send me your information to potentially win this. Men and women can do this. So, all right, now it's time to layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm combing the hair straight out from the head like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for, and there's not a lot, anything that needs to come off to maintain the balance right here in the bottom. Here we go, like this, straight down. I'm going to comb it straight out from the head. Now I'm looking and looking, and there's just a little bit that needs to come off, which is good. Again, you don't want to create a ton of layering because that's not really going to be great for the overall shape. I'm just really adding a little bit of texture and movement. Now, if you get this, right, if you're the one who happens to win this giveaway and you do want to go a lot shorter as far as the layers or whatever it is, then fine, you can. You just got to find somebody who knows how to cut hair pieces, and who knows how to layer hair properly. Do not bring this into a barber. Just find somebody who is experienced with doing wigs and working on these types of things, and let them cut it for you, okay? All right, now it's time to connect and blend. I do this on all my haircuts, the back with the top. I'm taking a horizontal section again, but now I'm going to be cutting vertically, and here we're going to have a bit more hair to come off because the top wasn't layered at all, so we need to create a little bit of movement. Now this doesn't mean because we're cutting layers on top that it's going to they're going to be super short and the hair's going to spring up and it's going to look all chopped up. No, that's not the case. And that's where leaving the length comes in, and that's where creating a balance throughout the entire haircut comes in handy as well. And what I'm doing now is I'm simply combing the hair straight up, and I'm really just trying to connect this into this. So there's no shelves in the back, the layers are smooth and nice and balanced and even, because sometimes if you cut it improperly with the layering, you're going to get shelving, right, where you can see the layers. When you have layers that are done right, you're not going to really see them. So now what I'm doing, since we've already cut the back, it's time to work towards the front. So leave the past behind, and now let's move on. We've already established our connection, and now I'm going to cut everything horizontally or straight across this way, going here. So I have the top, the corners, and the sides. That's usually how I cut hair 99% of the times, is I like to keep the focus and the balance in one area and keep everything very, very structured. So when you realize that you've got the top, the corners, and the sides, then you can stay a lot more organized if you're a hairstylist and you're trying to cut hair like this, you're trying to cut layers, because it really helps you see exactly where you're cutting and the reaction of what happens when you cut it, right? So here's the hairline, as you can see. I mean, I got a pin right in through here, but look, and it's going to come up a little bit, but look how natural this hairline is, all right? It's very, very natural. This is the pin right here. It almost looks like a little widow's peak. But as you can see, it looks great, and whoever's lucky enough to wear this, I give you a lot of props and praise because it's going to look great on you. All right, so now we have the top done, and now it's time to work in through the corners. So just so you all know, in case you're new here or you're just learning how to cut hair, whatever, the corners are this part, the round where the hair rounds off, right, on your head shape. Where your head shape rounds off, and that's the corners. Corners are very, very, very important when it comes to how the hair lays down. Let's bring this over a little bit this way, and how the hair flows. So here, there really isn't much of a corner. Now I'm going to extend that all the way down to the base and to the bottom. I'm not looking to cut the length. What I'm looking to do simply is just blend in and clean up any parts that need to be connected here. Very, very crucial. You can actually, and I've seen this so many times, the haircut can turn into a complete disaster. If not cut properly, you can get holes in the bottom of the haircut. You can get areas that are too thin. A whole lot can happen if not done right. So what you're looking to do here, again, is not cut a lot of the length, which we cut before, but you're trying to cut what's on top of that, all right? And it'll stand out to you. The length will be very, very obvious. It'll stand out to you, and that's what you need to cut. And that's also where you see the guideline. The guideline is what tells you what needs to be cut from your previous section. All right, so there we go. I can see the length, which drops out, and what I'm doing is literally cutting above the area that needs to be cut. Now we're in the very, very front hairline. The front hairline, again, you want to be careful. You don't want to take too much hair off, or, I tend to over direct back a little bit to preserve a little bit of that length in the front. But as you can see, I'm keeping a very solid system in through here. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing on the other side. I'm standing in the same exact position. I'm going to take my section here. Again, this is now working on the corners, bringing the hair straight out from where the hair grows. That's another important thing, is I'm cutting, you need to know it's 90 degrees, all right, which is, straight out from the head. So that's how I like to cut hair. I noticed that it helps the hair, when it grows out a little bit better. I've noticed sometimes if the angles are too sharp, or it's really not the right angle, it just has a hard time growing out, and it gets real funky and weird. So I try to cut the hair so that it grows out as best as possible. Obviously, this mannequin the hair's not going to grow, so you don't have to worry about that too much. But in case you do get it cut shorter, you got to make sure that they're following a good pattern. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do what I like to call is like the mohawk blending, right? Where I'm going to comb this all back here, and I'm just going to go right down the middle to start, and I'm going to comb the hair straight up from the head, and this is going to help me see the balance. So barely anything needs to come off right there, which is a good sign. I'm going to extend this to the back, and we are now good to go. So let's now go over the style. Now, there's a few ways that you can style this, okay? And I'm going to leave this mannequin pretty much as is, because I think it looks pretty good. And what I'm going to do is actually, let's put a little of my Tidal Wave, my sea salt spray, which has literally become my best-selling product. It's just, it's always been a great product of mine. I've had this for a number of years, but suddenly it's climbed its way to the top for my best seller. Then 25 spray is number 2, and shadow is number 3. And I'm actually going to use shadow for this because it's a cream and it has a little bit of grit and texture to it. Excellent for long hair like this. Excellent, even for medium length hair. But this really, really tames it down. So what I'm doing is I'm working from the scalp down to the ends here, and you want to make sure that the hair is fully saturated. All right, get it through. As you can see, I'm not roughing up the hair, meaning I'm not shaking the hair at all, but what I am doing is making sure it's saturated. That's the most important thing. Make sure it's saturated, especially towards the ends, like this. And what's going to happen is this is going to dry in a kind of natural, wavy, slightly wavy or textured state. And let me just spin this around so you guys can see. And through the ends, as you can see, the scrunching kind of really helps as far as the technique. And let's bring this up a little more so you guys can see here. So you see on the ends, it just created a little bit of texture, right? Which is awesome. It's got a nice balance to it. And now see how this right throughout the front, just a little bit of movement right there. And that little layer here will allow this to kind of open up if you want it. If you want to open this area here, that slight layering that I did is going to help you really control and move the hair. So this is really, really a great shape here. And to anybody who is going to win this, this giveaway here, I'm happy for you, and I'd love to see photos of it. So once again, everybody, what you need to do is go on Instagram, follow LaVivid Hair. You'll see them. Just search LaVivid Hair. You'll find their page. You can follow them. Then take a screenshot that you follow them. Send it to me in a DM on Instagram, which is @TheSalonGuy, and give me your mailing address and your email address. And I will choose a winner, whether it's male or female, but please, this is a very expensive hair unit, very, very expensive, very high quality. So I really want this to go to somebody who it's going to benefit and someone who actually will wear it. Again, not use it to like burn or for a prank or whatever. I mean, somebody who really can use this. And that's pretty much it. So thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe and healthy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time for more videos with the Salon Guy.